you know, wrestled cattle, and that's what he did his whole life. So that's what this truck's been on, a farm its whole life and a ranch. Dropped some a tree on the tailgate one time back in the 80s or 90s when he's cutting firewood. And tailgate still works, so you just leave it. Just, you know, why would you fix that? You know? But story with it. Yeah, that's original interior, original everything.
That is really clean.
161,000 miles. And I mean, I drive this thing all the time.
4-speed.
Yep, 4-speed, 345. 3/4 ton 4-wheel drive, but it's a long bed step side with the spare tire cut out in the fender, which is actually really, really rare. And it's a goofy color. It's called Yuma Yellow. It's just, it's got, I mean, it's got some little spots, but it's not. So look at the doors. 50 years old, and it's just click. So this was before me. This was a one owner. This truck right here, same thing. This was a one owner truck before me. This came out 11 That's original paint. This was 7. And this guy's wife called me after he passed away, and she's like, "You love this truck, and we can tell from watching you on YouTube that you love these trucks, and we just really love it if you come buy it and give it a new life." And it'd been sitting for like 10, 15 years when we got it. This is the same color as your truck.
Yep. And does the exhaust come out factory from right in front of the wheels?
No. He had a camper on this originally. This is
Okay.
a camper truck, and so he had the exhaust there because he had his camper mounts in the back. He didn't want the exhaust put on his camper. And we're going to put that. I've got an 8.5 foot cab over Alaskan camper in the shop. That's what's going on this.
Okay.
So he recovered the seat, but other than that, this is all original. There's his old hat too. He used to wear it when he drove it.
Oh, that's awesome. And that switch, is that factory? No.
Which one?
Left, right, right.
This here? No. Oh, yeah, that's a fuel tank switch. If you got, so this truck had the factory dual tanks. Then you could add what was a dealer installed. This, they called this a camper tank. It was a third tank because you knew that the thing was just thirsty. You're gonna drive it forever. Chevy and Ford did this too.
Yep.
But what it is, it's a 30-gallon tank, and it sits on top of the frame rails in the back, but under the bed. So it's this kind of long rectangle thing, and it fills from right here. Well, when you add this, the factory selector no longer will go to this.
Gotcha.
So they put these in, and then he just labeled it, but the
and
dealer
then
would
I
have
have
done
one
that.
right there where that bullet hole is.
There's
I
one
got
right
two.
here.
I got two covers on either side.
This is actually a grab handle. These are factory.
Really?
Yeah, I have them. They were off. She had them on the workbench in her shop. I got to put them back in. But that's what went right there. Yeah, those tanks, those are a little sketchy, but you know
They get a little stinky in there.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that old Chevy tanks.
Yeah, but this thing, you know, same thing. 50 years old.
Is that click? Is that the original mirror?
So the original mirror is right here.
Okay.
This was a connector that went up to his camper. So it was like a
Yep,
little
I
shock
remember
wheel.
those.
So
My
that's what
grandfather
that
had
was.
those.
And then these were put on because these probably broke.
Oh, gotcha.
I have been on, I know which mirrors these are. I haven't found a parts truck that I bought that has them yet, but when I do, they will get swapped out. So
I've got those holes, but I've got a different mirror set up.
yeah, which is common. You know, they broke or they got ripped off or whatever. So, but this has all the, you know, we do the same treatment on all of them. It's the same factory wheel, factory hubcap. We use BFGs and Falcon tires. We have the same size every time. It's a taller than stock size, but it's not a lifted size.
Mm-hmm.
I like the tall, skinny tire because it looks more period correct.
Yeah.
This is a big block automatic, power steering, power brake, camper. I mean, this was a full load truck. This had everything.
And what was the 1200? Is that before the D10?
So you had
1110.
So you had the 1200 and the 1100 in 69 and 70, and then in 71 they went to 1210 and 1310 and 1010. I don't really know why they changed that when they did, but they did. So the earlier ones are a 1200 instead of a 1210.
Okay.
So
I love the way the tires look on that. That's just.
so that's no
exactly
lift, and that's a 34-inch tire.
Really?
33.8. Yep, 255, 85, 16, 33.8. So they look the part.
I love the hubcaps too with the cutouts.
Those are next to impossible to find, but we seem to
Really?
keep coming up on them. Yeah, you see them on eBay every now and then. They're about $400 or $500 for a set.
I found a fender. I found the fender with the dent in it on eBay. For
Okay.
$340.
Did you buy it?
No.
Okay, good. 'Cause I got lots of fenders.
Do you?
I got lots of fenders and doors. I got 10 or 12 parts trucks over there. So, Yeah, so this truck and that truck, what I'm working with Skyjacker with is I'm trying to come up with a spring rate that we can do that's about a 2.5 inch lift for the front, and then like a 2 inch or a 1.5 inch block for the rear. And then we run the Bilstein. This has got Bilstein 5100s on it all the way around. The shocks we run, which are phenomenal. So that would allow the truck to kind of level out, still run these tires, but just level it out just a little bit more and put a new spring and new bushing and stuff in there just to make it ride a little better. So we'll see.
Well, old Scout, huh?
Yep, that's my Scout. That's a 70-800A. That's built for wheeling and show riding, and that thing's got Dana 44 front, Dana 60 rear, 5 lug outers, 4-wheel disc, ARBs, lockers, 488 gears, twin stick T-case, Curry 4-to-1 kit in it. I mean, it looks the part. It's not the fastest truck, but it'll go anywhere you want it to go. So, full cage. I have a full top. I have a bikini top. I have hard doors, soft doors. Wow.
Look at all that room in that back seat in the thing too. It's like they almost got more room than the Blazers do.
Almost. Yeah. So this, I mean, about first or second week of May, I take the top and the doors off, and they don't go back on until October usually. And just drive it and go to pick kids to school and everything every day. No top, no doors. No, just turn the heater on. Don't care.
Yep.
They love it. So, this thing's been to the Rubicon. It's been to Moab. It's been to Sand Hollow in southern Utah. It's been to Arizona.
All with you?
With the guy before me, and then with me on several trips too. But the guy I got it from wheeled it everywhere too. So.
I had a buddy build one of these in hot red down there in Santa Barbara. He just kind of tinkered with it. I think he threw a Chevy in it.
So
you know, made it real bright and popped a lot. I think he got $50,000. He just messing around with it in his garage and made it look pretty and fast. And
so the guy that I got this from is a friend of mine and a customer, and I bought it from him because he was moving into a travel all and had this. He bought this truck when he was 17 years old in 1991. So it's all original steel. It's never had fiberglass fenders or anything. But everything you see on it is very 90s because that's when he built it, right?
Yep.
But back then he had enough fortitude to realize that he wanted to do a spring over and do the right axles, but he needed to keep it low because of the center of gravity. So those are 37-inch tires.
Yeah.
And this thing has like 2.5 inches of lift, maybe. He did. Those are like Tom's Bronco. They're Bronco flares.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it sits the same height at the hood as my stock D-Series truck with 33-inch tires with 37.
I like that.
So it's great to drive. But in the 90s, at U-Pull-It, which is where, you know, the wrecking yards we all used to go to, in the 90s at U-Pull-It, there was a plethora of Jeep Cherokees. This has a 4-liter straight six.
I noticed the
HO.
shifter has a
and
Jeep shifter.
Yeah, it's the Aisin 4-speed automatic with overdrive out of a Cherokee.
Okay.
And it's all standalone harness. He did it in the 90s. Works perfect. This truck was a 258 straight 6 AMC motor from the factory because that was an option, and it was a 4-speed truck. So it still got the clutch pedal, but he converted it to automatic and put the Jeep motor. Well, it literally bolted in the same place because the 258 and a 4-liter, it's the same motor, same motor mounts and everything.
Yeah.
He goes, man, it was the easiest swap ever. And he goes, now it's fuel injected, automatic. It's got a standalone harness. He's like, it's point and shoot everywhere you go, and it doesn't weigh a lot. And a 4-liter, and you remember, those things made 200 horse and almost 300 foot-pounds of torque.
They were bulletproof. They were great.
So there's no reason to put a V8 in or anything, ever. It's great. We drive it just like it is. It's got 3 fuel tanks. Yeah, it'll go a long ways. Just great. It's just a great rig that we just enjoy the hell out of it.
My dad had a Willys, 48 Willys, white and red,
Flat
4-door, flat fender,
Yep.
and he decided his sister bought a Corvette, 56 Corvette, 65 Corvette.
Yeah.
And she wrecked it.
Once they pulled the Corvette motor
They pulled
out.
the motor, put it in his Willys,
Yeah.
and he said it was a 4-cylinder tank in that thing. He could only go like, he lived in LA, barely get to the next highway and get off fast enough to refuel the thing. He goes, it was too much because he had just had my sister and stuff, and I was on the way, and he's like, so I got rid of it to a buddy, and he's sitting in his driveway. He said that thing was really fast. It would jump. He goes, well, stuck it in gear and dropped the clutch lead and then drove it straight through his house. He
Oh no!
Demolished the truck with days on the floor.
Oh, that's awful. So another funny thing, period correct stuff. When I went to pick up this truck, this was not here. There was just the 3 screws right there. And I said, because this is like a 10-foot, see that? But this is correct, right? That's what you did back then. And you tie it to your camper, right, when you get on the road. So I went to pick up the truck, and I asked her about it, and she's like, oh yeah, she goes, I think it's over there by the workbench. And so I'm rummaging around this old garage, and I find the antenna, and it's still got the ball and everything on it, and I go, can I have that with the truck? She says, well, yeah, that's fine. I go, why is it on the truck? She goes, every time he drove in and out of that freaking garage with that truck, that antenna whipped the door and smacked it. It was loud, and it was taking paint off my house, and it pissed me off. She goes, so when he passed away and I parked in the garage, she's like, I took the thing off. And she's kind of an ornery old gal, you know, like I could see that she probably did that herself. And I said, well, I'm going to put it back on. She goes, you do whatever you want. She goes, it looks cool in there. She goes, but I hate when it hits the garage. And, it just wham, and hit the house, and it was knocking the paint off the trim.
That's a pretty grill on that thing too.
That's 69 and 70 only.
I mean, not
so your grill in the 71 is this same grill shell, but they just painted this insert and they put a honeycomb in here.
Okay.
But in order to run this, because this is a floating grill bar, this has different tabs that are welded, so the entire core support on this truck is actually different than the 71 because of all these pieces.
Wow.
Now, a guy could take these off and weld them, and you could make it work, right? I mean, it would work, but it was a different piece. This is my favorite grill.
It looks pretty on that.
Yeah. And almost all of them do not have this piece in this sticker part right here anymore. They're always gone. Nobody repops these. No one remakes this. No one remakes this. So if you find one that still has this, it's pretty rare.
Okay.
Because the sun beats on them and they peel off. It's just adhesive. It's not glue or anything. So this truck was in a garage its whole life. That's why it's not rusty, and it lived in the valley. And it's only got 61,000 miles on it. So,
really?
Yeah. It was his camp truck. Yeah, 52 years old. They barely drove it 1,000 miles a year.
You got some awesome stuff in there.
Oh, that's not even the half of it, man. Make sure you guys like, tag, share, and follow, and help us continue to tell the stories of these trucks.